get mine. You get yours, I get mine. You get yours, I get mine. Aight, then I'm gone. You get yours, I get mine. You get yours, I get mine. You get yours, I get mine. Aight, then I'm gone. You get yours, I get mine. You get yours, I get mine. You get yours, I get mine. Aight, then I'm gone. You get yours, I get mine. You get yours, I get mine. You get yours, I get mine. Aight, then I'm gone. Cue the movie screens. Then life's the biggest production, and it's a bitch with a big appetite for seduction. All of a sudden, niggas busting for a big introduction.
Hey y'all, this is Daniel. Welcome to Blunt Talk, baby. How we doing? This is the 5th episode of season 2. And yes, I'm wearing a Christmas hat because it's a happy holiday season. So I'm hoping everyone's enjoying the holiday season right now with the pandemic and everything. Stay safe and just have a good time with your loved ones. And today we're going to talk about the New York Jets and the New York Knicks. My New York Knicks, baby. But who better to do that two combination of teams than my good friend Bill Simione? How we doing, big dog?
What's going on, man? Thanks for having me.
Of course, brother. We had to do an episode with you, even especially with the season starting right now for the NBA. You know what I'm saying?
Yep. Both two Knicks fans here. You know, we got basketball around the corner. It's felt like forever. You know, thanks to COVID and everything.
Did.
Yeah, because the Knicks haven't played a game since the beginning of March. Pretty much.
That's the thing. A lot of the other teams in the league, they had the luxury of actually being in the bubble and continuing with their hopes. We were told, nah, you're good. So
right,
it's exciting to see us play again.
Right, I agree. It's weird because as bad as the Knicks have been, especially the last couple of years, getting them back and playing, it's almost like we needed COVID to take away sports for a couple months and take away the Knicks for a good 9 months to get excited for them.
Appreciate it and be excited about it.
Yeah. So I'm happy. I'm happy about the Tibbs hire and everything. And
I'm actually, I'm not the biggest fan at first. I want to see how it works out at the start, and then I'll give my verdict about that hiring. But
right. We could be sitting here, in a month saying, okay, we're ready for the season, and let's get to the draft. But we'll see.
But before we start on with the episode, we got the card of the day. It's the new segment I've been doing on the podcast. Today's card is for two fellow Knicks fans. Is Amar'e Stoudemire. Once, this picture was probably taken in his photo shoot when he signed with the Knicks. If you guys want to see the back, you got Amar'e smiling there, shiny teeth, and the stats. And this is one of the first cards I actually got in my whole Knicks part of the collection of cards that I got. So it's very close to me. So yeah.
Yeah, Amar'e's my guy. I mean, growing up, my dad always have the Knicks on and everything. My fandom really didn't hit as hard until Amar'e Stoudemire joined in the team. That was the first year that I could remember since in the mid 2000s they were always pretty crappy. Where I really could get into the team and have an idea for what's going on and remember a bunch of games. Remember Amar'e had a huge stretch where he had 10 or 15 straight games with 30 points. Which you didn't see a lot then. Especially. For a guy who's 4 or 5, he would sit there and hit
for a big man to go off scoring wise like that wasn't that popular, I guess you could say. It wasn't that common to see it. So Amar'e definitely doing that. Put the Knicks on a spotlight because when you really think about it, those 2000s and late 2000s and early 2010s Knicks teams, they had kind of nothing going for them until that Amar'e signing. That was the first step into actually developing and building a good team around him.
Right. I mean, and the biggest thing was, he even quoted when he signed there, Knicks are back, which, I guess lasted, you could say, for a handful of years. But, signing him was really a big key because they were able to trade for Melo, late in that year, which you could argue, maybe they shouldn't have because
I was about to ask you, what's your opinion on that? Do you think they should have waited? Because I'm on the boat that I feel now that I've looked back at it, that I'm we low-key should have just waited.
Right. I mean, hindsight's 20/20 at the time. There might be some people saying let's go win now. Screw it. I want a playoff run, even though I believe they lost in the first round that year. Or I think they lost in the
Carmelo trade. We lost in the first round. Yes, sir.
To Boston.
Oh wait, no. Wait, because we lost to Miami and Boston the first 2 years, and then we lost to Indiana in the third year of that team with
right.
Round. But I don't remember if the Miami one was the first one or the second one then.
Right. I think it was Boston. The next year they lost to Miami, but they won the one playoff game. And then the year after was when they
against
beat
Miami,
the Celtics.
he broke his wrist because of punching the fire hydrant, right?
Yeah, he punched the fire extinguisher. That was when his decline kind of started. But yeah, anyway, back to the Melo trade. It's easy to say it after, but it should have been more clear at the time. It's like, just wait another year, then you can sign him. You know where he wanted to go, and then you don't have to give up picks. Your starting point.
Yeah, because we gave up a decent amount of picks. We gave up Gallinari, Wilson Chandler.
Love Gallinari, and he's still playing.
Gallinari's a beast, man.
Yeah,
he's got the sauce, yo. This man's sharpshooter. And Wilson Chandler was a nice role player, or not even just role player. He was a serviceable starter for the Denver Nuggets for a while.
Yep, for sure. Yeah, and even Felton. Everyone could talk about
Felton,
make jokes about Felton, but he's had some good seasons and some memorable playoff games. I remember he had a couple for Dallas a couple years ago. So you think maybe they don't make that trade and they just sign him, and you can build something much better there. But they trade. Maybe that's Melo's fault for trying to force their hand and get out of there.
That is true, because we can't force it completely on the Knicks, because Melo was very aggressive. Like, I wouldn't say he's to the level of aggression with it. Like, you have the stars in the league doing that nowadays, but
I know what you're saying.
It was up there in the sense, like, he was not content and he wanted to leave, and he wasn't trying to wait for it that much.
Right. So, I mean, it is what it is. I mean, they made the trade and they had a couple good years, lost some key pieces with that. And it's like they would never really put anything together around Melo. He re-signed the 1 year, which everyone looked like he was going to Chicago. He re-signed. They never really put anything around him. And really, since the Lynn year, they
after that Lynn year, everything kind of went a little down or south, I guess you could call it, because they kept doing weird moves and towards the direction that let this team is purposely not trying to actually build they traded away the Eamon Shumpert, J.R. Smith to Cleveland the year after we won 53 games. What's your reasoning for that?
Yeah, and Iman.
And we got Bargani in when we really didn't need Bargani in to fit with the squad, because we still had Stoudemire and Tyson Chandler, at least I think. And then after that,
they
Chandler
did.
left.
And Tyson was almost the only one that played when those three were there. Bargnani played, I don't know, maybe 20 games.
I love
or something.
Tyson Chandler, bro. Tyson Chandler is one of my favorite Knicks of all time, from my viewing experience personally.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, that's pretty much our glory days, with our age group, where that's the only real, time we were able to experience the Knicks, being so competitive. It's been pretty much crap for 7, 8, 9 years now. I mean, you had some fun years in there with Porzingis to a degree, when he played. 1 year he comes
was
out.
the one bright spot after that Lynn year, because Porzingis looked like he could be a nice piece to Melo, but the team still needed a little more, and then the injuries got into play.
Right.
My viewpoint as a Knicks fan, I don't know how you exactly feel, Bill, but I am so happy we don't have Porzingis anymore. How many times has he gotten injured for Dallas?
I mean, he has. I mean, but last year, he played a decent amount of games. It's tough to tell.
Oh, he was a monster, and he is a monster. But the thing is, he's showing you that he can't stay really on the floor for that long.
Yeah, I mean, when you have a guy that big with that much athleticism that's going to play a certain type of game, I mean, injuries are just going to come along. So, I think with him, it's always going to be how he's going to have to manage his body, manage, the minutes he's playing. Obviously, load management's such a big thing. It's sad to say that him in New York, the way it was constituted as the main guy, he just wasn't going to hold up, because because his size.
He couldn't do it by himself. He really couldn't do it by himself. And then his physique, you just explained it. His physique wasn't going to help you. Like the type of player like that, it's like the Yao Ming situation.
Right.
Eventually, he can't. You either need stars around him, or you just can't. He can't do it by himself, because that's how he doesn't force himself to get injured.
Yeah, a big guy being that agile, taking that much contact, cutting and moving the way that he did, and everything. It's just a lot for those, for those joints and everything to hold up. It's tough for 6'4", 6'5" people like us. The dudes almost got a foot on us. So it's crazy. I mean, part of me, there was this whole mess going around when he finally got traded about him being a baby and this and that.
I remember.
But I mean, I just think if you're the Knicks, I mean, you just have to handle the entire thing better.
Yeah.
It should never let it get to that point. The guy was the franchise. And
he was going to be the future. You should never mess up the future player. Like Minnesota has been able to keep Karl Anthony Towns this long. Come on, bro.
Yeah.
Like that's just the first example I can think of from the back of my mind. Like a Devin Booker, for example, he's been there for 7 years now in Phoenix.
Right.
Nah,
Exactly.
probably 6.
Not that long. He's still super young. But yeah. You made your point.
The weird thing about Porzingis, bro, is like we heard the room. At least I heard the rumors like one day, and then like the next day, or even in less than 24 hours, he was traded. You remember that part?
I remember the day he was traded because I was working at my internship, and it was in the spring. I guess it was probably like February or March or whatever. And I remember literally a night or two before, I was talking to my buddies, and he mentioned how something with how I forget the exact deal. Something with Dennis Smith and him. I guess because he went that draft or something.
The same draft. I mean,
I forget what
I remember there was this one
related.
thing that happened with LeBron saying like the Knicks messed up. They should have drafted that kid from North Carolina. And then, ironically, the Porzingis trade got us Dennis Smith, that kid from North Carolina.
Right. And at the time, I was like, okay. I mean, like I can live with that because like I want him as a point guard.
You know what it was? I don't know what happened.
DSJ came out the year that we took Frank, and we were like, why would you take this guy with the guy like Dennis Smith being right there?
Yeah.
And we had to complain for him. And the irony is that they trade KP and then they get the guy. That's what it was. So, yeah. So everyone's blowing up my phone. I'm at work. Like I was busy. I was pushing to the side. I go to leave. I pull it out, and my phone, like 100 messages, because everyone knows how big of a Porzingis guy. You know,
yeah.
I mean, I guess I kind of still am.
You're probably you were the biggest Porzingis guy that I knew back at college.
Yeah,
I know. Yeah,
I was a huge Porzingis guy. Knicks fan. Loved the way he played. I mean, he would go out some games, and you couldn't guard him. Obviously, I love just sitting there and popping the mid range.
I've actually seen him play in person. I saw him when I think I forget the year, but it was like last season. It was the Knicks against the Wizards, and Porzingis dropped like 21, and I was like, okay.
I saw him play. I saw him play twice. His rookie year, I think they played Detroit or someone. I only won.
Okay.
Because that was when Melo was still there, or was healthy at least. And then the next year, I saw him play. It was probably the most entertaining Knicks game in the last couple of years. They went to triple OT with the Bulls. Ooh. It was like right after like New Year's or something. I remember he blocked Markkanen's shot like to end one of the OT. Markkanen was going for like a layup or a dunk.
I do remember him that block.
Yeah. I believe they ended up losing like triple OT, but
we didn't win that game.
Yeah, it was an insane game. Markkanen had like 40, but so I was sad to see him go. I mean, kind of he was acting like a bitch about the whole thing, so I was kind of like screw this guy for a little bit. Yeah, but I'd like to see him and Luka do well down there.
I really hope the best for them because I think they would be a nice duo. It's just the fact that he's already injured at the start of the season because of what happened in the bubble.
Right.
We don't even know if Luka will be able to do that much by himself this season for them to be in a good playoff spot. Because a lot of people are high on Luka, and I'm high on Luka because I mean it's Luka Doncic. This kid's a stud. He's a top 5 potential of all time. You know what I mean? Or top 10 at least potential. Like he's up there with like
potential for sure. Yeah.
And he can't do it all by himself though.
Right.
He just can't. It's not how the NBA works. So I hope they do good. But yeah.
Yeah. So the key for them is to keep both of them, especially Porzingis, healthy when playoff time comes around. Because yes, you have to win games in the regular season, but it's so long. Like we know who's going to be there at the end. Aside from the 7-8 seeds that are just battling, like we know who's going to be there. So the priority needs to be to keep those guys healthy for Dallas, and I think they can really, really make some noise. I mean, I don't see any reason why they couldn't be the largest contender to the Lakers in the West. I think they certainly could with the way Luka, showed he was playing last year.
No, he was playing out of his mind. And at the end of the basketball section, we'll get onto like our predictions for the season and everything. But I don't know because this is a weird season.
It's a weird year, yeah, for sure.
And there's a lot of good teams. Like both the East and West are actually going to be a little competitive this year. Yeah.
I mean, you have KD coming back. Obviously, you don't know how much he's going to play, but Brooklyn's a threat. Boston, Philly will be good still. There's a lot of interesting teams.
Yeah.
Denver obviously looks really good. Yeah. They're probably the team.
They lost depth, but I still think Jamal Murray's going to probably have a step up if he actually continues this run of form.
Yeah.
So they're not going to worry about the depth, and they got people like Michael Porter Jr. who'll be
Yep.
involved more.
But yeah,
But
MPJ
I
definitely.
before we sideline completed to the NBA, I want to finish with the Knicks. And first question I got about like the couple questions I got right now.
Right.
Why the Knicks? What was the reason when you were growing up? Why? How did that work out for you? Are you a Knicks fan now to this day, bro?
You know, I never got into the Nets. I don't know what it was. You know, basketball I obviously played from, you know, probably like second, third grade on. The Nets I would watch sometimes, but they were always pretty bad. My dad would always usually have the Knicks on. He's from Staten Island, and he's not a huge basketball guy, but usually if we threw him on, we'd throw the Knicks on. And he knew as I got more into basketball that I would like to watch more. So even though he wouldn't always want to watch, he'd throw the games on.
Okay.
Obviously, then when they got Amari, you know, he told me about how like this was a really big signing for them. So I started watching them more and everything. Obviously learned about the history more. You know, Willis Reed. My dad was a big Ewing fan, so that he was obviously. But that's when they were good, so it's easy to root for them at that time. And one of my uncles lived around the city in the 90s, and he will still swear to me, you know, he was like, as good as the Yankees were in their dynasty, and even now, he was like, when the Knicks are good like that, he's like, there's no hotter ticket in the city. He was like, there's nothing like that. He was like, because baseball, you have the Yankees and the Mets, have the Jets and the Giants. When it comes to basketball, it's the Knicks. You know, it's no question. Obviously, the Nets are in Brooklyn now, but you know,
the football teams are outside of New York stadium wise, so of course, that's a different way that it can play. Like when you really think about it, the biggest team in New York by like that type of like I don't know explanation, it's the Knicks, Madison Square Garden, and all that. So like
the Garden,
hottest ticket in town. I believe that, and that's nice to hear. That's like basically been like a family thing then for the Knicks fandom.
Yep. And basketball is just the sport of everybody, you know. All you need is a ball, really. You know, you find parks all over the state, all over the city.
That's the thing, bro. That's the thing. When you think about it, football, American football, can you play that by yourself? What are you gonna do? You're not gonna pass it to yourself. Soccer, you can kick it out of goal. There's no goalkeeper. What you gonna do? Baseball, you can throw a baseball to yourself. In hockey, you need ice first. If you're not in an icy place, you can't play. Basketball is the one thing in the sport that you can actually do by yourself, just because you can actually shoot. And
in a way that's enough close to the game, rather than just like I'm just gonna throw this or like kick or shoot this in something. It's the one thing that you can point to and have that. So once I got Amari, we actually ended up going to a game that year, and Amari went on that huge run, and that's when I really started getting into it. I was like, wow, like they're good. You know, this guy who was in a similar 4 or 5 spot that I played. I know exactly what grade I was in at the time, 5th or 6th or whatever. You know, similar spot. Like really fell in love with his game, how he worked the mid range and everything. And the players on that team: Gallinari, Felton, Landry, Fields, Ronnie Turiaf was the starting center.
Ronnie Turiaf, baby, the French center.
Yeah, and then so after that, you know, the rest was just history. Obviously, they got Melo. You know, we had some really fun years in there. Who's on
your Knicks Mount Rushmore? Like the 4 people that are your favorites, not greatest, your favorites.
My favorites?
Yeah, personal.
Because it's tough. Because personally, to me, like Amari isn't, you know, like where do you rank him the all-time great Knicks? Maybe he's top 20. You know, I guess
he's
he
in
is.
The 20s. He's at least in the 20s.
He's probably around like 15 or something. So I mean, personal favorites. I wouldn't know if that's technically my Mount Rushmore, but I would say Amari's definitely up there. Okay. You know, in terms of just fan
There's
favorites.
No orders. Whoever you
right, yeah, those 4. Like Steve Novak. I mean, how can you not love that guy? I mean, the dude was a sharpshooter. He would come in. He can't do anything else on the court.
You can have zero sliders on the 2K on the settings, and he was still drain that 3. He's
going to drain everything. So he can. I mean, you know. That guy, he couldn't do anything else on the court, but he would just sit there and hit daggers. So, you know, you had to love him. Obviously, Melo was great. So I'll have those 3 guys up there. And if I had to throw a 4th, probably Clyde Frazier. I mean, he'd belong on my all-time great 4, you know, regardless. But I've watched like a lot of stuff on him and the way he brought them to titles and everything. So for my personal favorites, that's probably what I would throw in.
Okay.
Ewing was a beast, but I didn't get to watch him. But just the history of Clyde and the titles is something I guess I would admire more. But if I had to pick, if I had to like rank 4 Mount Rushmore, it'd be Clyde, Ewing, Bernard King, Willis Reed. That'd be the 4 for me, no doubt. Yeah.
For me, mine's an interesting bunch. I got Carmelo's the easy one because I mean you can see a Melo signed jersey right there like it's nothing. I got a Melo bubblehead I can show you later. Iman Shumpert.
Wow.
Iman Shumpert was that guy. I don't know. I felt like he was like doing everything that none of the other starters in that team would do. Play defense, be hustle, always go for, like, I don't know. Like whenever Shumpert was on the court, I always felt happy with the Knicks. I was like, we got someone that can lock someone up. We got a person that will hustle, dunk, or like, it's crazy too because Shumpert started his career as a point guard and a shooting guard, and he retired as a small forward.
I know.
Whole process.
Because once you end up with LeBron, it's like, all right, dude, you just need to learn how to shoot and you'll be fine. Just go stand over there. I'll do the work, play defense, just stand there, hit a couple shots a night, and have a couple of mil. You're good.
Yeah. I put Tyson Chandler up there because I just like he's defensive player of the year, but he didn't even make the first team defensive team that season. It was just a meme. It was a meme. And
I could see you as a big Tyson guy, but go ahead. Sorry.
I'll put Willis Reed. Just because he got that injury, walked out of the finals, came back, still won, baby. Like, come
Game
on,
7.
man.
Yep.
People nowadays don't. If they get injured, they're like they're like, oh God, okay, and they'll take forever to come back. Like Clay's the one person in recent years that's been like, you know what? Let me at least shoot the free throw. So like Willis Reed doing that in Game 7 NBA Finals. Was it? It was the finals, right?
It was either the finals or it was the Eastern Conference Finals. I forget. It might have been the Eastern Finals.
Game. It was a big game.
It was huge. Yeah, it was huge. Like, it might have been Eastern against the rival. But yeah, I mean, no, exactly. You're right. You don't see that a lot of that today.
He got and like with your same thing you said, Frazier, them two were in the same team. They're the reason we got those 2 titles. So you gotta respect the Dons. That's how I look at it.
Clyde staple for sure. I definitely see. You have a lot of Tyson in your game. You like to have the block, and then you always like to, you have your little moment. So I could definitely see the Tyson one.
But if we had to put up like these Knicks teams up against each other, like the Melo, Tyson, Amari Stoudemire, Jay Lynn, and Shumpert Knicks versus how about we go with the Willis Reed? No, we can't. Yeah, the Willis Reed, Frazier, Earl the Pearl Monroe, Dave the Busher, Knicks.
Phil Jackson on that squad too.
Phil Jackson too was on the rotation.
Screw him, but
he screwed us over. But like,
we're trying. So just between those two,
that's the first matchup.
That's tough. I mean, it's tough not to give the edge to the younger team with Melo, Lynn, Stat, Tyson, all them fully healthy. Because just the way the game's different, you have more guys that can shoot the 3. So regardless, that's already given you a huge advantage. If we had to take the 3-point line away, then I think, you could have a completely different discussion on that.
Of course.
Because they'd have to get in the paint and get dirty with those guys. I think that completely changes the game. So
Frazier was still a good slasher, though. I feel like Frazier and Monroe, like those guys were not like since they weren't shooters, they still were slashers, and they still had like. I agree with you though. Now that you think about it, when you gotta put the 3-point line in perspective, that changes the thing.
Yeah.
But like some of those players were shooting that distance. It just wasn't counting for threes.
Right. I mean, kind of, but not as deep as you guys have.
Not as deep. Not as deep.
That's the only thing with basketball that stinks is like you try to compare these teams, and it's just so difficult because the game has changed so much. Like even if you just compared like 20 years, but you're looking at like 2011, 12-ish to like 74, 73, So, I mean, let's say you can somehow get these teams together. You have a team that's going to be, pushing and shoving and doing everything they can and expecting, hey, we're just playing defense. And you have another team that's going to be wanting calls and popping threes. But I think if we had to play it in today's game as it's constituted, I'd give the edge to the newer guys led by Melo, Stat, and Lynn.
Yeah.
But
I would have to give it to the Melo team purely on size too, because that Knicks team from back in the day was very little. Willis Reed 6'9", David Busher was the power forward. He was like 6'6". Against Amari, who's 6'9", 6'10", and then Tyson 7'1".
Yeah, you also have a lot bigger guys. Your guards are a lot bigger now too. Having to deal with guys with Shumpert and everything. So it's another good point. It'd be fun to watch the old guys. Obviously beat them out for
I
it.
wish we could do a time traveling or something like to see like if they would fit in the game today or if they would struggle.
Right. I think
if they been greater.
Yeah. You got some other teams that you got matched up? Or?
Yeah, the other matchup we'll do the Latrell Sprewell, Larry Johnson, Allen Houston, Chris Childs, New York Knicks versus the Patrick Ewing, John Starks, Charles Oakley. Yeah, Charles Oakley was one of those. You had Oakley on the.
I'm
thinking of the team that made it to the conference finals because they never made it to the finals.
Well, they went in '94 when Jordan was gone. They lost in 7.
That's true. Oh, what am I saying? Yeah, that's against Houston, and then we. Yeah. Oh, God.
They lost in 7. They were up 3-2 in the series, lost in 7.
Mm-hmm.
So but that was mainly. I mean, Ewing was. I mean, obviously so dominant. I mean, he was really what held the team together. Ewing, Starks. Allen wasn't there yet. Oakley was a huge piece.
Oakley was huge.
They had a couple other guards.
They had Derek Harper. The Harper. That was Derek Harper
was there.
Derek Harper was there.
So to compare those two teams, obviously you have these teams are much closer in time. The 2000 team with Houston and Larry Johnson, they got some more shooting prowess all around on that team, I think. But do you stop Ewing and the defense that team ran? Obviously, they had Sprewell to the 2000 team, but that's tough because I think the 2000 team would match up very well with the 2012 team. I think I would pick the Sprewell, Houston, Larry Johnson team over Melo's team, but I think against Ewing's team, I think it might just be a bad matchup.
I was about to say Marcus Camby. I love him to death. He's not handling Patrick Ewing.
Right, prime Ewing. That's very tough.
Just that matchup alone, because John Stark will get you like double-digit points at least, and he'll be like nice field goal percentage. But
right, I think
if you can't control Ewing,
right, or your game plan would be let Ewing have his, and we just need to make sure
everyone else gets guarded nice. Do you mean?
I mean because I feel like Starks was the biggest thing with that team, because you could probably look at that '94 team, and say that they had a better team. I believe it was the year 2 before when MJ was still playing, and they lost to him in 7, I believe it was in the conference matchup. You could probably say they had a better team then. They just couldn't get through MJ. It was similar.
That's the thing. Because even though we could say that they were the greatest Knicks team of all time, like someone could say the argument they never got past MJ, but MJ's MJ, so that it plays a factor because we can't really say how great this team could have been because MJ was in the way. It's like any team, like any Toronto team that faced LeBron.
Right. I'm talking from like other people who lived through it, like my uncles and stuff. The feeling that they always have was like, oh, if you got you and the other guy, like Starks wasn't a real 2.
Yeah, he was more like a 3, honestly, like third best option.
Yeah, you can argue, what you thought of him. I mean, maybe if he does have another player that's a little bit higher caliber.
Anthony Mason.
There you go. There's a name. I knew there was some more heads there on that team that I couldn't think of. But maybe that's different. Maybe you got a guard that's like someone of Pippen's caliber, maybe not like a Hall of Fame level, but someone of that caliber or a step or two under, and they get past Houston that year. But it didn't happen. So I guess I would give that edge to the '94 team. But it's weird because the way you switch the matchups around, I feel like it could go either way. But that's a tough one.
I honestly think that could go either way, but I'll give the edge to Patrick Ewing, Knicks, because I feel like even if we do he could get all his buckets and you close out the rest of the team, it's just gonna be too much. That's how I view it. I feel like
good.
If you put him in the 7-game series, this would go to 7. This would go to 7 games. Like if you match these two teams up, you know what I mean?
No, yeah, that'd be a hard note series because that defense was locked down.
Exactly.
So that'd be an interesting matchup for sure.
And then if you get the Melo Knicks versus the Ewing Knicks, Tyson Chandler's a better defender than Marcus Camby.
I would agree with that. Yes. What else
But
you got?
Amari would manhandle an old Charles Oakley because that wasn't that young of a Charles Oakley, right? Because he was older. He was young with the Bulls back in the day. I
Right.
think.
Right. Yep. Because
You
they
put
they sent him from
John
Chicago.
Starks would be a problem for Shumpert because even though Shumpert's good defensively, John Starks could still slip in, slip
Right.
by, shoot a couple.
Yeah, for sure.
Derek Harper's that Ewing team has a better defense than the Melo team. That's my if you really think about it.
Oh yeah, no. Oh yeah, definitely a better defense.
Besides Tyson Chandler and Shumpert, none of the Stoudemire, Melo, and Jalen were not defenders. So you got Derek Harper, Mason. I think Anthony Mason was part of the Ewing. Knicks,
yeah, he
if
was.
I'm not mistaken.
I think it just depends
And
on
Oakley too. Oakley's a good defender. So like, and you're not
Right.
getting by Oakley without him elbowing you, my man.
You'd
know what I mean?
have a very good, probably an Oakley Melo matchup. You'd have a lot of that going on in the series.
And play J.R. Smith as your small forward.
Yeah, you could. I mean, regardless, I feel like they'd find a way to get Oakley on Melo, even if Melo was at the 3.
You would have to do that. You would have to.
Yeah, I think regardless, they would try their best to get on him. But you just broke it down. So who do you give the edge to?
I'm gonna have to stay loyal to Carmelo over there in the jersey. I'm gonna give him still the edge just because I feel like firepower with people like J.R. Smith on their bench that could just like shoot light like crazy sometimes if he was on fire. With
Right.
Jalen, the way he was playing, and Melo and Stoudemire, like I feel like they got more firepower at the end, and that will be too much because Patrick Ewing.
It's
I
tough.
don't know,
How
like
many
Tyson
threes can you keep up with when you're playing games in the 70s, 80s, and 90s, and now you got to go win a game in the 100s, possibly the 110s. I was going to say the same thing as you. Like I'm totally with you on this one.
Yeah.
Probably more than I would even the other ones where I feel like you're more hesitant. This one I'm totally on Melo's team because I think they just have they just have too much firepower.
Yeah,
I think the 94 guys.
The offensive scheme they had too would overpower the whatever scheme that they did back in the day with Ewing and.
Right.
One game would be more fast break, the other would be too slow because you would have Ewing on the post the whole time. Even though Carmelo liked to be on the post, Stoudemire and Chandler they'll be on the post, but like you, at the end of the day, I feel like you gotta give it to the Melo Knicks.
That's the thing; they can go ISO too, rather than just like run and gun down the floor. So yeah, I think unless Melo runs into the Houston Sproul team that's more similar to them, I think they would run through. I think they'd run through the teams. The team out of all the teams, they were the farthest one from a title, which is ironic that we picked them.
Exactly.
So just goes to show you how the game has moved in such a way now.
Kind of changed, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, before we close up with the Knicks and the basketball topic, first part of the question will be, what do you think the Knicks' chances this season are? What do you think for the Knicks? And the second part will be like, who you think is coming out from the East and the West then?
Well, if we're talking chances, are we talking like chances of winning 30 games?
The Knicks to be 11. I think the Knicks will be an 11 to 10 seed this season. And if we're a 10 seed, I think we make the play-in tournament. So I'd be happy with making the play-in tournament.
Right. I mean, 11 or 10 seed, I'd probably be happy with. That you probably win 20. You got to win 20 plus game. At least 25 or something.
We're better than Cleveland. I'm sorry, Kevin Love. I'm sorry, man.
Right.
We're better than Cleveland.
Cleveland has to be the worst. I mean, Oklahoma City out west has got to be pretty crappy. If they could be the 10th best team in the East, I think that would be phenomenal.
Yeah.
I think a lot of it depends on. A lot of it depends on how Randall comes out this year. I think they're really going to give him all the chances to be the focal point of everything. You're going to have the point guard.
Please
circuit.
Don't.
What, RJ?
No, I'm saying about Julius Randle. Please don't.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You said RJ.
Yeah, I think I said.
Oh, because I got that RJ Barrett jersey.
Yeah, I see it.
There,
I see it back there. Yeah. No, I'm
Yeah.
sorry. That was my bad. I meant RJ. RJ. I think it depends on the steps that RJ takes.
I low-key think he's in the direction for it because you see it already in the preseason. He's the second. He was in the first game. He was the second leading scorer, and then in the second game, if I'm not mistaken, he was the second leading scorer again.
Right. It would be
last
nice
season. He averaged what? He averaged what? 12 points per game or 10?
Oh, at least he was a total snub for the all rookie team, and he said that himself. To not be on the first or second all rookie team was was crazy. And he said he used that as motivation. But I like RJ.
Yeah.
You know, I think he can definitely be in, you know, one of the top, you know, sophomore classes this year.
Yeah, he's gonna
So
take
that's
that jump. He's gonna take that
hopefully.
jump.
And Randall will help as long as he can stay on the floor.
Yeah.
But what could cause him to lose games if you're sitting there and you're out of it and you're a week or two before the trade deadline and you deal a couple guys, you know, like Randall. They signed a bunch of guys on 1-year deals, like Alec Burks, who can.
We got Alec Burks, Skylar Bizier. We picked up Austin Rivers.
Yeah.
Who else?
So my point with that being is that, you know, you could totally see these guys getting traded, and that could be the difference between winning another 5 or 6 games and ending up as the 10 or 11 or like the 13th or 14th best team in the East. So in terms of playoffs, like I don't really think they have a chance. Like I'm like pretty not optimistic. Some people might be like, oh, like they can compete for a spot. I'd rather really just see it before, you know, like it's been so long, you know, since
I'm gonna
anything.
be honest, I don't think we would make the playoffs, but I think we have a shot at least getting into that play-in tournament.
Yeah. No, I think there's a shot depending on how other teams shape up.
Yeah.
If you can get
Chicago will be a little iffy. Atlanta, you don't know if they'll gel together. You got Charlotte, that will be good, but they're still not the greatest team. You got in the bottom, near the bottom, you also got what's their name? Wizards. No, the Wizards are actually going to be nice.
Wizards have Westbrook, but they'll probably be in the 7, 8, 9, 10 range.
It's interesting. We definitely gotta see how it plays out though, because like a lot of teams with the moves they made, and just like with how like there's a play-in tournament now, you don't know which teams are going to try to tank or which teams are going to be like, you know what, screw it, let's go for this play-in tournament.
But can you beat those lower, edge on teams? That's what's gonna. Can you beat the Magic? Can you go and win it? Take a couple games from Washington with Russell now. The Hawks are going to be a lot
Indiana,
better.
Like a team like Indiana, like the East got better. I don't know if Indiana will even be a top 4 seed this year like they were last year.
Right. And the whole world, everyone's saying how Oladipo wanted out of there and this and this and this. But, I mean, he's not out of there. So, it is what it is. What I was hoping for was for them to kind of take the Nets blueprint of what they did, how everyone thought KD and Kyrie were going to come to the Knicks after the other offseason. And then the Nets, played well, looked good, showed promise, got one of the later playoff seeds. And obviously KD goes down. So regardless whether he wanted to cut his preference, now he gets hurt, so he's not going to play for a year. So now if him and Kyrie had already agreed to go somewhere, Kyrie's like, well, like some people might think that they were definitely coming to the Knicks. Then once KD got hurt, that he lost his say and was like, listen, we're going to go to the Nets. But regardless, they had the better team to go to.
Yeah.
Everyone was talking the whole year like they were going to get him. And they signed with Brooklyn. And it's like, what? It's like, why not? I mean, they have the better team. No one cares about the Garden or the Mecca or any of that stuff now. So I think you need to be like that. You need to show promising young pieces.
Yeah.
Show that you have guys that are ready, to work with, ready to win. You're not going to be paying anyone, They're barely paying anyone now. So I was thinking, maybe they'll get Giannis. I'm not a huge Giannis guy. And then today, of course, before I go on this podcast.
Yeah, he signed that Super Max, whatever.
Yep.
228.
Inks the huge extension. So there goes that. So I was like, crap.
We can get CJ McCollum.
I mean, I guess.
Victor Oladipo.
Yeah. I guess. I mean,
like everyone that was going to be big for this free agency is signed extensions pretty much. Like LeBron, Giannis. Like we might have to start developing the team and then maybe another offseason get that one piece.
I think, what the best case scenario you drew up was Toppin shows in contention for Rookie of the Year. Barrett has a great second year. They still lose a bunch of games because they stink. And then they end up hitting the lottery, and then they can draft some stud like point guard.
This is one of the best. This is one of the best draft classes in potential, though. Like you can easily land from 1 to 7, and you're fine.
Right.
That's what the people are saying, at least. And I've seen some of the footage.
What's the one kid's name?
Cade Cunningham.
Yeah.
That kid's nice. He's like a Ben Simmons that can actually shoot.
Right. Right. So I mean. It stinks, but they're not going to have, they never get the big free agent, but they're not going to, for a change, there won't be like that whole thing now that Giannis is signed, like, oh, let's go get that big free agent. LeBron signed his extension. So it's time to build. And
Kawhi,
I know.
Kawhi's contract's coming up.
Well,
Maybe.
Kawhi will be up. So will Paul George. I don't want anything to do with Paul George.
Oh,
But
Paul
Kawhi,
George got the extension, brother.
oh, he signed the extension too, right?
Yeah.
Because maybe they think that's how they'll keep Kawhi around. So yeah, maybe they can show some promise. Maybe wheel and deal Kawhi. I don't think personally he'd be a guy who'd want to come to New York and deal with the media and all that.
Yeah.
He's super low key. But you never know. But I do like the Thibs hiring, but you don't. So because you just
I feel like you see what happened with those Chicago Bulls teams, and then Derrick Rose got injury prone, and then Jimmy Butler, for example, wasn't the healthiest at the start with those Bulls teams, and then you got Luol Deng and Carlos Booster's injury history, and
Right.
also Pau Gasol. And when you really look at it, Tom Thibodeau is one successful coach. I will not deny that. But
Right.
this man overplays his players. He had Luol Deng playing 46 or 45 minutes per game one season, and his starters. I just don't want that for a young team like us. And because we already have too many players that play the same position. So rotations wise, how are we going to make this work to give people play time?
Right.
I don't want to hear something like we play Frank Nicolatina 45 minutes a game and then he gets injured in like 2 months because of something. Like, you get what I'm saying? That's just a random example, but
no, I know what you're saying. Yeah, that makes sense. Plus you'd fear, hey, this person isn't getting enough minutes, stop playing this guy this many minutes, even if he's playing well. Because he's
always been known
guy.
to have short rotations. He doesn't have big rotations.
Yeah, and he's always been like, very win now guy, But that's the one thing that I like is that he's gonna have an expectation on the players. To not just be like, oh, let's, like Fizdale, like, oh, let's improve, let's go out and just make sure we're doing better, let's get it right, they'll lose some close games, whatever, get a top pick. Like, I want a guy who's in there like, listen, if you want to see your ass on the court and you want to play and, to be able to make money and extend your career, you better play well because this is, because I want to win games. So I do like that aspect of it. And I'm thinking that maybe even though we're not going to go on some playoff run or even probably make the playoffs, that at least having higher expectations of his players could raise them to have better expectations of themselves in some way. Because now with the NBA, the one thing I feel like is, look, you go to college, you play there for a year if you're, if you're an NBA guy, and then you're like, dude, I'm just going to go get the bag. So then they go and get drafted, and then they're 18, 19 years old, whatever, get all this money, and it's just like, whatever, like you made it. And like, obviously you should work hard to stay in the league a couple of years and get a couple more contracts. But, you can get that one big payday and then everyone's just like, all right, maybe we'll end up on LeBron's team or Kawhi's team, Steph's team, and get a ring. And so that's why just in general, I'm a huge college guy. Like that paired with the fact that the Knicks stink all these years and there's like, such a, absence of defense and team ball and everything is why I love college so much more. But
college is a much better, more fundamental game.
Yeah, exactly. Which is why I enjoy watching it more, even though everyone loves the NBA because of the drama. But I do like the hiring, so we'll see where it goes. Yeah. I did want them to get Fizdale, and that didn't turn out well though. So we'll see what happens.
I like Fizdale as a coach. I hope they work better, or he at least lasted more time than he did, or something at least, because it's been too many coaches and consecutive firings after another, like, you know what I mean?
Right.
We
exactly.
We definitely need some consistency in the coaching department.
Yeah, so that would be nice if we can get consistency, progress, and have expectations for our players. I'll take that. So, but first regular game I think is a week from tomorrow. It's either today, a week from today, or tomorrow.
If I'm not mistaken, we start the season against the Indiana Pacers.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah,
that's right.
So I'm definitely hyped to see that. You got any last thoughts before we switch on to football for the rest of the podcast about the Knicks or the NBA as a whole? Any bold predictions, bold statements, bold takes?
Bold takes, bold predictions. I haven't thought too much about it. I mean, it's going to be a strange year because I feel like the guys that are in the finals.
Dame Dollar's going to win the MVP award this year, and Portland's going to be like a 2-3 seed.
That's your prediction, Dame MVP. I wouldn't be surprised by that. I wouldn't be surprised by that because I think
Robert
a lot of
Covington,
sixth man of the year.
Back Melo.
Melo will be back.
Gary Trent Jr., Rodney Hood.
Let's see. If I had to go for bold prediction, I think Trae Young will be top 5 in MVP voting. I don't know if that's bold enough, but
I'll take that bold. He's still coming off a first-year All-Star appearance or something like
Top.
that.
I don't even know. I don't know. I forget exactly what they cut it down to. I feel like they always change it. But he'll be up in the MVP conversation. He's gonna have a huge year, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, he
And then
definitely will. I hope the team does well because they got nice pieces like Gallo coming as a 6-man, Bogdanovich after the Bucks screwed that up, or better said, the Kings screwed that up.
The Kings,
They didn't inform the man that we're signing you and trading you.
Mm-hmm. That was a crap show.
How does that?
I thought Giannis was going to see that and be like, "Oh man," but he resigned. Yeah. And then if I mean, this year I think we'll see. I think Lakers are going to run it back until
I think they do the double.
Yeah, I mean they both seem locked in. They got Trez over there, took him from the Clips.
Mm-hmm.
So
which is crazy. Which is genuinely crazy to think about from the team that plays in the same city. That's a rival.
Yep.
Damn! Like you saw when Kawhi laughed and said "Hell nah" after the first jump shot Montrez took for the Lakers.
Yeah. Yeah.
I saw that and I was like, that makes so much sense. There was always that, like, you can't have all the talent in the world, but you need team chemistry.
That's right. That's for sure. Especially after coming off a title like that. But
exactly.
So Trae Young, huge year. I think the Lakers go back to back.
Okay.
Knicks obviously will miss the playoffs. Let's go lottery, baby.
Yeah, let's go. Let's get the first pick, baby. We always get screwed over, but okay.
We're due.
All right. Why are you a Jets fan, my G? What was the reason? I know I asked you for the Knicks, but I need a little bit of background story for the Jets.
Isn't that the $1 million question that you could probably ask anyone that's a Jets fan? So my wonderful father, diehard Jets fan. Me, first child, oldest son. Just came out the womb wearing green and white. The year I was born, 98. They were, like a couple quarters away from the Super Bowl. They ended up losing that game and not going to the Super Bowl, obviously. But it was a good year for them. And then that's just when I was growing up as a kid, that's he would take me to games probably from when I was 6, 7 on, and I always loved it. Always loved being in the stadium, just cheering, getting loud. Always loved, driving through the parking lot with all the tailgate going on.
That whole experience makes it so much better. It makes it different too.
Like some people would be like hate it because like there's a bunch of drunk people around, so everyone's just loud playing music. But for me, when I was like 10, 11, and I had already been there a couple of times, we get there and you start smelling all the charcoal and all the fumes from the grills and everything.
Yeah.
Didn't mind bundling up, throw like a bunch of sweatshirts on and everything. So I was really into it from a kid. I would say the one game that probably really cemented my fandom, because obviously he would get me all the jerseys and all that stuff. I was always wear them to school. It was the year after the Steelers won their first Super Bowl with Ben. So I believe it was 2007. Right. Okay. Yeah, because they won in 2006, I believe it was. So I was like, I guess 9-ish. Yeah. So we had tickets. This was Chad Pennington's last year as the quarterback of the Jets. He was there.
I remember that name.
And he would always get hurt. So anyway, the Jets start 1-8. They're horrible. Like, whatever. There's their bye week after they hit 1-8.
Okay.
The week after that, they play the Steelers at home. Now the season's already over. The Steelers are really good, right? And they're a local team because they're just over at Pittsburgh's in PA. Yeah. And Pittsburgh's like one of those dynasty teams. Like there's Steelers fans.
They're a dynasty, man. They just are.
Yeah, not in terms of having a dynasty like New England, but you know what I meant. Like they're like a classic.
Before Tom Brady and New England came along, they were the team with the most Super Bowl wins.
Right. Yeah. Them the Cowboys and the Niners. But anyway, so they're a team that there's fans all over the place. They travel. They have a bunch of rings, whatever. So there was already a lot of Steeler fans going to that game regardless. Like when the tickets came out that year, all the Steelers fans in New Jersey, whatever, East PA, New York, they were all like, all right, we're going to go. It's closer than driving out to Pittsburgh. And, and they always travel well. They have their terrible towels, they get big yellow towels that they swing, painting the picture. So now the Jets are 1-8. So everyone sells like their tickets. No Jet fans want to go. I'm excited to go because I just want to go to the game. My one uncle's a Steelers fan. So we go, we meet my dad's brother in the parking lot or whatever. He's like, we lose to this horrible team. Like, I'll burn my Roethlisberger jersey, like, whatever. And it's all Steelers fans. I'm like, this is crazy. Because this is probably my second or third game, maybe fourth. I've never seen it like this because, like, there's Steeler fans everywhere. Usually I can pick out and see the opposing team's jerseys in the sea of white and green, but it's just black and gold everywhere. We go in and it's snowing, it's dark. And anyway, long story short, the Jets end up pulling out this win in overtime, 13-10. But the whole stadium, you would have thought it was a Pittsburgh home game. There's terrible towels everywhere. We were surrounded by all Steelers fans. And right next to me, which made it really get personal, like wanting to win, there was this, similar to us, there was this guy and his son who was just like a year or two older than me. And he was kind of like talking trash, like, oh, we're going to beat you guys. Like, you guys suck, whatever. So it was like we already had that rivalry. Like, it's really, I'm here with my dad, he's here with my dad. And like, there was not any like bad blood or anything. But the kid was just, I was like, I just want to beat them.
Shit, you're gonna want your team to win.
So 9-year-old me is like sitting there thinking like, we stink. Got the backup quarterback in, like whatever defensive game. It's sloppy. I remember we had a nice punt return or something to set up the game-winning field goal. And I'll never forget watching that field goal go in and just going crazy. The Jet fans that were there that day, it's like, shove it right up your ass. Like, we just beat you guys. Go home. We suck, but we had this one awesome game.
Did your uncle ever burn that Roethlisberger jersey?
I think he might have. We went back to the tailgate spot. We went back to the tailgate spot after the game and couldn't even find him. He was already like gone. Whatever, who left him there? We tried calling him. He didn't want to pick up. That was super, super big upset for them. I should look it up and see what the spread was for that game. But that was awesome. And then I always just, ever since then, I totally fell in love with going to the games, the atmosphere.
That was the
everything.
moment that did it for you.
Yeah, for sure. And then the next year actually they picked up Brett Favre, which the season ended in like they ended up blowing a huge lead and missed the playoffs. But that was a super fun year because it's like, oh my God, like Brett Favre. It's like,
Brett
what?
Favre,
How do we?
Oh my God.
Yeah. How do we get this guy? And then the years after that, they ended up getting. Those are the Rex Ryan and Mark Sanchez years, and they had long playoff runs. So after those years, by then, I'm like 11, 12, 13. Like, I'm so into it. Like, we had these playoff runs. Like, this is awesome. So by then, I was fully in. And then the sad part is I haven't made the playoffs since that second year with Rex Ryan. So that was like 2011-ish, which is unbelievable that it's been that long. But they haven't made the playoffs in like 10 years now. So
it's about to become a decade, my G.
I know. Long and painful decade.
If you could put a GM cap right now, what's the one first move, trade, signing, rookie, draft selection, waiver thing that you do to get the team in the right direction if you have to put the GM thinking cap on?
Right. So there's 3 games left in the year. If we lose all 3, we'll be 0-16.
Number one
pick. Which means that with that pick, I'm going to draft the quarterback out of Clemson, Trevor Lawrence. The thing is that pretty much anyone who's even been around football would do the same exact thing as me. So even a horrible GM could probably do that.
That's true.
They're anticipating him.
He's like Jesus on the field. He does some stuff that I'm like, yo, he just passed it in that. Like, what? Like, that kid. Like, I would like to see him in the Jets uniform. Like, I agree with you. You don't know if he would be the greatest fit for you guys, but
right. I think you can't really go wrong with that pick. And I don't think any GM would, because earlier in the year, before Darnold had like totally shown that the Jets have pretty much ruined him. A lot of people were saying, hey, if you end up getting that pick, you should trade out of it because the amount of picks you could get from that pick would be huge. You could totally build your entire team off that trade. And I agree with that. And I was totally not opposed to that. But now I don't see any way how they don't draft Lawrence.
Take it, because at this point, like with the season, and if you're going for the 0-16, trading it seems a little bit like You wasted the whole year for just returning assets that you could have, I guess, flipped or like I don't know, like early in the season or something.
Right. I mean,
Like,
yeah, you don't have the pick until after the season is finalized because it goes off your record.
Yeah.
So they could still very blow this if they tie the Jaguars, who have 1 win right now. So let's say they both end with 1 win, the Jets will lose the tiebreaker because it's based off of strength of schedule. The Jets are playing harder teams.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
It's not a coin toss or something?
No. It would need there is something you could look it up about how a tiebreaker comes down to a coin toss.
Hold up. So you're saying we play the Jets play the Jaguars and the rest one of the games in the end of the season or no?
No, they won't play for it.
Oh, okay. I was about to say because
that would be interesting. That's what they should do. If there's a team tied for the first pick, you should actually call up the NFL and tell them
play each other.
Yeah, exactly. Because who wouldn't want to watch that game? These two teams that suck. They're the worst two teams all year.
Yeah,
and now they both
actually
want
would
this
try
so
for
bad.
that. They would try their hardest for that.
Exactly. Because you could argue that the teams are tanking or whichever.
Mm-hmm.
So they get the first pick. They're going to draft Lawrence. I think anyone with a GM cap would pretty much do that. So I guess I'll go another step further since that's like the obvious move. My next big thing, because free agency would actually come before the draft, would be you have to sign a bona fide number 1 receiver. You have to
at least one guy in the receiving or tight end department.
Right. They drafted a nice rookie this year, Mims. He's been on and off with injuries, but the thing with Darnold that they always failed with is they never got him the number 1 guy. Just like they never got him a good coach, they never got him a good offensive line. They pretty much stunted his total development. So you can't do that again, especially with a guy that is like, up in the heavens with how regarded of a prospect he is. So, you got to go out. There's going to be a couple guys there. Allen Robinson, this guy plays for Chicago. He's a monster. He's always been stuck with crappy quarterbacks. Kenny Galladay in Detroit. Juju Smith-Schuster in Pittsburgh will be a free agent. I'd rather have the other 2 guys.
Because Juju's not that proven.
I mean, yeah, he's a big name, but I just think the other guys are more can be more dominant than him. And then Chris Godwin down in Tampa Bay. And some of these guys will probably get re-signed, but you got to figure, 1 or 2 of them have to be available. And the Jets have tons of cap space. So I think it's a must that you go and sign one of these guys.
Yeah. Especially with how the salary cap, not the salary cap, like how the salary works kind of in the NFL, because wide receivers don't get paid that much normally. And like it's a big deal with them and the running backs trying to get when they ask for more money from a team.
Right. I mean, the receivers, top ones will generally get paid more. Just because their expiration date on them doesn't go out as quick. With the running back, you're really searching for that one big contract, because they just take so many hits, so much possession, the tread, that burst, like that natural, like when they're young and they just take off, that
it's different.
That gets lost quick.
And it's risky. I get it from a business standpoint. You don't want to invest that much, but at the same time, they deserve their money. That's a conversation for a different day. But my point with it is, you're saying they got cap space. They'll definitely be able to lure one wide receiver and be like, yeah, we can offer you what the other teams can't offer you with money.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
So yeah, definitely that should be that would be a good step in the right direction from my viewpoint as an outsider, non-Jets fan. But,
here we go. Here's my GM cap. It was actually right next to me.
Oh my goodness!
Okay, should have threw it on earlier. Okay, a little retro.
Okay,
but anyway, all right. What else we got?
Well, to finish the episode off, I'm gonna hit you with a couple trivia questions or like thoughts or so. First thing, let's start with this. Let's see how many of the retired numbers can you name?
Oh wow!
In the franchise, can you name any of them if you can?
Yeah. I think I can do. Do you know how many there are altogether?
Yeah, I have the full list here. There's only 5 people in the history of the Jets, and I could do this. I could give you the numbers.
No, I know the numbers. I want to try to guess the numbers and with the players with them.
Okay.
I'm surprised there's only 5 because they do this Ring of Honor thing every once in a while, but maybe they're not officially retired. I don't know. But anyway, let's give it a shot. Joe Namath, number 1. He's number 12. That's first and foremost.
Yep.
Curtis Martin, 28.
2.
I'll go with Joe Klecko, 73.
That's 3.
Nice. Let's think. This is where it could go a couple different ways here. Wesley Walker. What number did he? He's not on there.
He's not one of the other two guys.
Let's go Don Maynard. And he wore, I think, 13. 13? That's what he wore?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. And so we have one more, you said?
Well, I think you said Don Maynard already, actually, now I think about it, because you got 2 numbers.
Namath, Maynard.
And you said Klecko. So that's 3.
Klecko, so and Curtis Martin.
Oh, that's okay. My bad. Wow. Yeah, you got 4. You got 1 person left.
So there's one more.
It's a huge number, and from 1 to 100, it's like at the end.
So it's 99. So it's Mark Gastineau. Oh, it's not.
Number 90.
Number 90. Hold on. So that means it was a T line. So it was Gastineau. Oh, Dennis Bird.
Yeah. Oh shit. Oh,
okay.
Okay.
There we go. Because he actually he was paralyzed in a game when he was still playing. He was really good. I think that's why they retired it. Yeah, and then he actually passed away just a couple years ago. But he was paralyzed. I don't know. I guess like in the 90s or late 80s or something. And he was a good player. Yeah, he was like young and up and coming, and everything. So yeah, nice. Okay. We got all of them. That was pretty good.
Okay. Do you know what your all-time playoff record is for the franchise, the Jets?
Oh wow!
I'll give you I'll give you on the wins and loss column. You can be 3 off. So like if you're off by 3, either 3 plus or 3 less, right. I'll give it to you.
Okay. Well, see, this is a lot easier for a Jets fan because I know you can pretty much almost remember all the times that they made the playoffs. Let's see.
And I'll give you this. This is the last clue. Both the wins and losses are double digits.
Okay, that helps. Let's see. I got some paper and a pen next to me. I could probably write a couple of them down. Let's see. I'll go. Let's see the years that they missed. I'll go. Right. I'll go 12 and 16.
So, the actual record is 12 wins and 13 losses, but I'll give it to you because you're a 3 off.
Wow!
That's insane. Okay, Bill. Okay,
I couldn't remember all the games, but I was piecing together like the ones I could remember from the top of my head, and I was like, all right. So I figured I was thinking about going lower. But wow, solid. Okay, awesome. Wow. I thought they would have more losses, to be honest, but I guess they've only made the playoffs 14 times. They won 1 Super Bowl. So
what year did the Jets make the Super Bowl? What year did the Jets win the Super Bowl? And the only year they won. What is that year, if you know?
That's 69. 68 into 69.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, let me get you with the last question.
My dad was born like a couple days after they won the Super Bowl or before, either way, but he was like, that's what's always so fun.
Oh, that's great. Okay, yeah, because that's something you guys remember, like will associate. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's see, which I feel like all-time passing leader, that's too easy. How about all-time receiving leader for the New York Jets? Who is he? Do you know?
All-time receiving? Is it Al Toon?
Yeah. No,
not Al Toon.
Nah.
This could be like a handful of guys. I'm trying to think who's played the most seasons there. I mean, maybe Don Maynard. I mean, he played there for a good bit. Is it him?
Is that your final answer?
It's my final answer, yeah.
Yeah, that's Don Maynard, my G.
Nice.
He got 627 receiving. I'm assuming that means receiving
receptions.
Yards. No, because he says 11. Yeah, receptions. There you go. 11,732. Sheesh. That's the yards.
Wow.
And 88 touchdowns.
Wow, underrated. I think he's in the Hall of Fame, but underrated and a white receiver there too. Probably not many white receivers in the Hall of Fame that played post Super Bowl.
Yeah, he is Hall of Fame, 4-time Pro Bowl, 1-time All-Pro, 1-time AFL champ, and 1-time Super Bowl champ.
Yeah. Yep, he played with Namath.
Yeah.
Wow. I know. It'd been awesome to be like alive in those days for sure to watch them. They they were like the first team to really like pass a lot and stuff back in those days. So now the Jets are always like horrible on offense. So it must have been really cool to be like one of the innovators of throwing the football. Now I'm happy if we can throw for 200 yards.
It's
true,
that's
man.
crazy to go from one side to the other.
It's a lot of stuff built up, man. It's a lot of stuff built up. It's been a long year.
Hey, man, Bill, I hope your Jets are able to succeed this season and getting that number 1 pick.
Let's
I
go,
hope.
baby.
You got any final thoughts on your Jets before anything else you want to add or ask or like say or anything? Anything you want to promote? You want anything at all, my G?
Nah, I don't have to promote anything. I did have a basketball point before. Shout out Rutgers basketball. Gonna have a huge year this year. They got a nice program. They're running through people. I know mainly Rider people will probably listen to this, whoever, but Rutgers basketball is gonna have a great year. They're 5-0. They won every game by double digits. So let's root for them basketball wise. And then for the Jets, just preserve the tank. There's 3 games left. A lot of people saw them blow the game against the Raiders a couple weeks ago. I don't know how they lost that game.
I just saw the highlights before we were recorded. Actually, I saw sat down and watched the highlights while setting everything up.
Right.
Damn. Out of that pass was long as hell, and then there was 0.45 on the clock. I was like, what the?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, that was insane. I saw it. I was like, okay, they're going to win. And a lot of people are texting me about my phone, bro, they're going to win. Knowing that I'm rooting for them to lose.
Yeah.
So a lot of people were all like, dude, they're going to blow this. You're not going to get the first pick. I'm like, I know. Before I could even text anyone back, they throw the bomb, they lose. And it's like divine intervention. Destiny is in our favor here, unless it's just setting up for greater heartbreak and they win the last game. That'd be heartbreaking. They play the Patriots last game. So
for
any Patriot fans out there, listen, you've beaten us plenty of times. You can just beat us one more time, okay? And it'll be fine.
I don't know. They're looking very iffy this season, but yeah, let's hope and pray. I'll put prayers up for you, my brother.
Thank you. Yeah, prayers up. If they somehow lose to us, Bill Belichick, worst coach of all time, Super Bowls don't count. You cannot lose to this team. They're so bad.
Oh, my
God. Simple as that.
Well, there you have it, folks. First off, thank you so much, Bill, for being on the episode. I really appreciate it, my brother. And we'll definitely have you on the podcast again to talk more hoops and college basketball, because I keep forgetting you are a college basketball head. So we'll have some more conversation on here, my brother.
For sure. Thanks for having me, man. I appreciate it.
Of course, my brother. Of course. To the people listening, either on SoundCloud or YouTube, thank you so much for tuning in and watching and listening. Peace out, my people.
All right.
I saved the recording. Thank God.
Oh, sweet.
We did an hour and 6 minutes.
Oh, wow. Really? It flew by.